What's up, Guardians? Peace and Grease here. And with Act 2 right around the corner, it seems like the most ideal time to talk about Act 1 and my impressions of it. Now, the basic premise so far for this act is that Fickrell has returned and figured out a way to convert Elixni into Scorn. Now, that's an intriguing idea. I'm interested to see where it actually goes. The basic mechanic for this act, and probably all the following acts, is that we are brewing potions. Now, let me be clear. I love the idea of us being able to focus certain weapons or armor, or focusing on certain subclass or damage resistance, right? I like that idea. The whole potion brewing thing, it's kind of whatever for me. I don't like it, I don't dislike it, but I know some players do, so that's fine. However, unfortunately, Bungie has always been notorious for working in some sort of hurdle to slow players down, to prevent us from progressing too far too fast. And I'm sorry to report that that hurdle is very much alive and well. And the hurdle I'm referring to is, of course, enriching flakes. You see, the problem, or should I say problems, plural, with enriching flakes is that the first is they only drop from one location, Onslaught Salvation. The second is that the drop chance is purely down to RNG. And then third and final is that the drop amounts are paltry, miserly, horribly low. In fact, I thought there was a bug or a glitch because I had to do 5 or 6 Onslaught Salvations, full 50 waves, all bonus objectives, and I came out of there with 0 enriching flakes, not a single one. The fact that a player can do 50 full waves of Onslaught Salvation, completing all the bonus objectives, and come out of it with 0 enriching flakes is a massive, massive problem. And in fact, to sum it up, the fact that I can get legendary resources to drop at a higher rate than a blue, what else do I need to say? So yeah, the drop rate needs jacked up on these things. The drop chance needs jacked up on these things. The drop amount needs jacked up on these things because it is ridiculous. Now, if I were to choose 2 words to just really kind of what best describe this act so far, it would probably be recycled and confusing. Now, you may assume, because I chose those 2 words, that I don't like this act, but actually it's quite the opposite. I've been enjoying this act more than I did last episode. That's not to say that there weren't some redeeming qualities about last episode, because there were. It's just, so far, I'm definitely invested more in this episode than I was the last one. Now, I chose the word recycled because we have a recycled boss with the recycled battleground, which is Onslaught Salvation, with recycled maps and some recycled weapons. So you can kind of see why I chose the word recycled. I chose the word confusing because there are a couple of decisions that leave me scratching my head. The first of which is that Bungie has postponed the release of the class item for this episode's armor set. Why? We may not get that class item until Act 3. Most players I know right now are all focused on getting exotic class items. So for us, we don't care if we ever get that class item. So what's the point? That's not the only thing that left me scratching my head. You see, during the first week, the Vantage Point was dropping, the pulse rifle was dropping with the perk it shouldn't have. The perk in question was Volt Shot. What Bungie decided to do was to change every Vantage Point pulse rifle in the game's role. So if you had kept a Volt Shot on your characters or in your Volt, Bungie changed it. Instead of changing the future drops going forward, they changed all of the Vantage Points in everybody's possession. Why? Don't get me wrong, jolting feedback is very, very good, but after all these years, there have been so many weapons that dropped with perks they shouldn't have, or masterworks that they shouldn't have. I mean, hell, case in point, the new Festival of the Lost Shotgun. The curated roll came with the perk it shouldn't have. Here's another example. I picked up this Survivor's Epitaph, 2 years ago. It's an Impact Masterwork. This thing is getting dangerously close to hitting like a 140, but it's a 180. I hope I didn't just shoot myself in the foot there. I would be so salty if Bungie changed this on me. But my point remains. After all these years, all these weapons that had masterworks or perks they shouldn't have, why now? Why this weapon? Why? Again, it's just one of those things that leave me scratching my head. More on the topic of Onslaught Salvation. Here's the thing. If you want to get me back into Onslaught again, you have to make it worth my while. And I'm sorry, enriching flakes on their own is only going to get me to do a certain amount. Hell, even these weapons are only going to get me to do a certain amount because I'm going to get some interesting rolls. I'm going to put them in my vault. I'm going to test a few here and there. And I'm going to try and run Onslaught Salvation as little as possible. Now, part of that is my fault. You see, back when we had the Brave update and Onslaught first came into the game, I ran the hell out of Onslaught to get all the shinies, to get all the rolls that I wanted. In fact, to really put a fine point on this, I had in my vault over an entire page, one whole page, of nothing but Luna's Howl. And I didn't keep any bad or mediocre rolls. I kept semi-decent rolls or better, and I had over a page. And that was just one weapon, the Luna's Howl. I probably went through thousands of these Brave weapons. So quite honestly, I burnt myself out. I was doing too much. And part of that is my fault, as I said. But you want to get me back into Onslaught? I would like to see some new Onslaught weapons. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. Some new Brave Onslaught weapons. And what I mean by that is we already had one group of Brave Onslaught weapons. Had the Luna's Howl, had the Succession, had the Mountaintop, had the Edge Transit, as just a few examples. I would like to see a new second group be released at some point. Hell, maybe the first group of Brave Onslaught weapons goes away for a while, and we get the new second group. And the second group is going to have unique Brave skins completely from the first group, completely different from the first group, and new shinies, again, with the new shiny skin, completely different from the first group. And in that way, we could farm for the second group of Brave weapons, and then maybe after a while, those would go away and the first group would return. So they would be on a schedule, so players could figure out, well, we want to farm this particular weapon, and it's going to be on this such and such date, right? That's personally what I would like to see. Now, I know somebody out there is going to say, Peace, they did add new Onslaught weapons, but the truth is, you see, they didn't. You see, how seasons and episodes work is every season or episode, we have a new vendor. And just like last episode, it was Failsafe was the vendor. This episode, it happens to be Ido. What Bungie has done here, essentially, is they have taken the weapons that would have been normally with this vendor or NPC, Ido, and they have reallocated them, put them into Onslaught, and called them, air quote, new, even though they're not. This had the unintended side effect of essentially making Ido pointless, beyond her field work, of course. Once you have all the field work done, it's like, who cares about Ido's reputation? I only have to have a certain amount of potions, so I don't give a damn about what her reputation is. Hell, the only thing I do is whenever she has a green potion, I'll craft as many as I can, and I'll just drop them all on her to increase my rank. I don't care. She's really kind of become pointless beyond that field work. So, yeah. New Onslaught weapons? Not exactly. Now, I have criticized the armor design in this game. In fact, to really be clear, I have said in the past that there's not a single set of armor in this game that I like in its entirety. I play all three characters, Hunter, Warlock, and Titan. I don't like any of the armor in this game at all. So how did the designers do for this act? Not good. Yeah, don't like the armor set. Don't get me wrong, there's a piece here or there that's fine. I have to mix and match stuff because I don't really like any of these armor sets. But the point remains, again, I'm not a fan of this armor. Now, the problem gets worse when you realize that essentially what they've done is they've turned our hunters and our titans into space pimps. And what I mean by that is, look at the design. Our characters are literally space pimps now. Don't get me wrong. I've said for years I would love it if Bungie would take this game down that dark and gritty alley, that dark and gritty tone, like Cyberpunk. But Bungie's never going to risk that PG rating. So The fact that somebody could design a set of armor, create a space pimp guardian, and completely be oblivious to it, I think tells you just about everything you need to know. That's obviously a problem. Now, I know somebody's going to say, but Peace, I like the hats. Of course you do, because you don't know. And what I mean by you not knowing is that this is a very, very old trope. This is older than video games. This is older than color TV. I remember as a little kid, my parents watching an old black and white movie where a guy's riding around on a rocket with a cowboy hat. That's how old of an idea this is. And Bungie's not the only one guilty of this. It has been overused in all different types of science fiction settings, from movies to games to shows. It's not new. It's not original. Now, I'm willing to concede that maybe the designers at Bungie are young enough, they don't even know. Maybe they are uninformed as well. But right now, it seems like somebody at Bungie is like, well, what was once old again is going to be new if we just keep beating this dead horse. No, it's still going to be an outdated, unoriginal, uninspired idea. You can beat it as much as you want. It's not changing. Now, with that being said, I'm sure somebody's going to say, well, you still like the hats, and that's fine. But how far are you going to take this? We have space pimps, okay? Are we going to have space STDs and space herpes and space whores? Like, how far are we going with this? Although now that I'm thinking about it, that would be freaking hilarious. Imagine joining a Gambit match or Crucible match or Strike, and the game tells you, oh no, you've contracted space herpes. That would be freaking hilarious. But I digress. So no, I don't like this armor. This is even more problematic when Bungie has basically come out and stated that they're going to be adding more armor to Eververse. Wait a minute. We can't get a complete badass set of armor in this game. And we've been waiting for, 5-6 years now? But yet, you're going to add more armor to Eververse? And we're going to get what? The leftover slop? The rushed design stuff? The poorly designed stuff? That's what we're going to get? What do we got to do to get some badass armor in this game, Bungie? Tell us so we can get the ball rolling. I got an idea. Armor designers at Bungie, send me a t-shirt that says, I'm the asshole. I will wear it out in public. I will take pics and post them on social media. However, in exchange, I expect a badass set of armor. Not in Eververse, in game. I think that's a fair compromise. But I digress. Now, with all that being said, while I am enjoying this act and I am looking forward to the next act, unfortunately, there are a lot of bugs right now in the game, sadly. I know Bungie's probably working their ass off to try and get everything patched up and get everything working, but I also cannot overlook the quality of life changes that Bungie has made to this game. Bungie has made some damn good quality of life improvements to this game, and I got to give credit where credit's due. There are some good things with this act, things that I'm glad to see. Do I have some small nitpicks? Sure, but again, I'm excited. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. How are you liking this act thus far? And until next time, Space Pimp out.